KFC is weird. If you delve into the KFC YouTube channel, you would forget they're a chicken company. They have everything, like ASMRs, like weird like Indiegogo campaigns and stuff like that, like things you wouldn't expect.
Hello, could you hear me? There we go. It's finally working. I mean, yeah, I'm so glad you could make it. I mean, the first thing I really ask is just, where are you calling from?
Texas.
Fullerton.
From Czechia.
Seattle.
Arkansas.
Vancouver, BC.
Louisiana.
And wherever you're tuning in from, welcome to Milking Ardor. If you're new here, hi, I'm Spencer, and this right here is my podcast. Look, everyone loves hearing a great story, and stories come in many forms. Books, TV shows, movies, podcasts, songs. I could go on. And there's so many people in today's society saying, I'm boring. And while that might be true, I don't think that's absolutely true. I believe everyone has a great story to tell. They're just not being asked the right questions. This show is all about hearing the lessons we've learned, the experiences we face, and the passions we are pursuing. If this sounds interesting at all, please share this to whoever you can. Milking Ardor is mostly word of mouth advertisement, so the more people we could have hearing onto the show, the more empathy we could build and a better community we could have for each other. Okay, enough of me blabbering. It's finally time for me to announce the guest on today's episode. First up, we have Nata, or Nathaniel, he goes by. And that first excerpt you actually heard in the beginning is actually us just talking about KFC. Super weird, but very enjoyable. Up next, we'll hear from a radio host out in Hawaii. Her name's Becky. You know, I finally got to understand what happens in the mornings when you turn on the car radio. Finally, we'll hear from Davis, a magician, mentalist, and entertainer. We talked about the fascination that kids have with magic and where he's planning on taking magic in his life. Okay, the song's about to end in roughly about now. But I wanted to say something before episode 10 really begins. In the very beginning, in episode 1, rather, I said, and I quote,
My name is
I have a long way from making Milking Ardor my dream podcast.
Rodriguez, but I go by Nata.
And look,
that being the
here
first
we
4
are,
letters because
episode
from a young age
10.
I've realized that
episode
a lot of people have
10.
trouble
I've been doing this for 11
what the full
weeks,
spelling is,
and
or even how to say
although
it.
it's only been 11 weeks,
So it kinda
I've
caught
thought about
on,
quitting
and then currently
so
I'm
many
speaking
times.
from North Dakota,
but it's
but
individuals
originally I was
that
from
have
Oregon.
come to me and said, hey,
Or
I really loved
What was
the podcast. Or just
the change?
the
Why
people who are
from
listening
Oregon
to the
all the way to North
podcast.
Dakota?
Well, depending
Thank
on
you.
what career
I really
you're in,
couldn't have done
sometimes
this
you just have to go where
without
money
your
takes
support.
you. And in our
And I'm still
case, we
figuring
started
things out.
moving-
You
started
know,
moving
this is
east.
nowhere from perfect or what I really want it
How
to
was-
be.
How was that experience for you?
I mean, if you look at the cover
Uh,
page, or the cover
well,
for this episode,
It's changed.
different.
It's been 7
I'm still
years
figuring
since
a
I
whole
moved
bunch of
here,
stuff
and
out. But
in the beginning, it was
for
a
someone
whole
who
other
just
story.
started,
If
I would
could
say I'm
get
doing
into
one
that
hell of a
here.
great job.
I was at a
And I
young
cannot
age.
stress
For
this
me, I
enough.
was just going into middle school.
I couldn't have
was
done
just
this
starting the 7th
without
grade.
you.
Older sister of mine was just
So,
starting her freshman year of high
before
school.
Nata,
So for us at that time,
I'm going to cue
it was
sponsorship,
devastating.
as I always do now,
It was a place that
And then
I had only been to
we'll hear
briefly.
about
I had
KFC.
worked there the summer before, so I come from a family of drywall workers. I have a family business, and I continue that myself. And at the time, I had come the summer before just to do a few jobs here and there around the state, and that's how I got to know it. So for me, it wasn't such a drastic change because at least I was familiar with the area. For my sister, it was the first time she'd ever been. And imagine living your entire life from birth in the same town for about the first 16 years of your life, and then all of a sudden you're in an entirely foreign place. The people talk differently. The word
Yeah.
they call things differently. If you don't see it right, they correct you. Fun fact: I don't know if it's for the entire Midwest, but at least here in North Dakota, if you're caught saying soda instead of pop, or in fact anything instead of pop, you're gonna get corrected. I mean, it's not so widespread, but you know, here and there, especially when you're younger, around people your age, that's the thing that people will throw around and be like, "Are you really saying soda? Did you just say soda?
Yeah.
Pop."
especially in Oregon. And I could definitely say that because I'm from the northern side. So
Oh, sure.
yeah, I totally understand that big difference. I mean, how's that transition? Was it like super rough for you? And I know everything was brand new, and you're a little bit familiar, but in terms of having conversations with your peers at the time, what was that like?
Different, different, different. So me actually being Hispanic, to them it was like a culture shock. I can say that there was only one other non-white student in my class, and then probably the entire school. So
Hmm.
right away, the first questions I got was, "What native tribe are you?"
Oh,
Because natives are very common in North Dakota, but were not common in
really?
the region of Oregon that I came from. So
Mm. So that's like a whole new thing you were hearing for the first time.
yeah, their immediate assumption was like that I was Native American. So I just told them right then and there what I was. I am Hispanic, and I explained to them. And then it was like a whole entire change in demeanor because now they are dealing with a culture that they've never dealt with before. Like to them, they're amazed now. They want to know everything. They're wondering, oh, why don't you have an accent? Or even one student in particular, remember, was kept mentioning the fact that I did have an accent. That's the way I spoke coming from Oregon compared to the way they all
Mm.
talked here. To them, I sounded different, or he thought it sounded interesting. But right away, those the questions changed from like, oh, okay, another native student, to oh, Hispanic. Oh, that's so cool. Where from? What do you do? What's different? Have you ever been to Mexico? Have you ever been to other countries? Stuff like that.
Yeah. And I could totally be wrong about this, Nata, but it sounds like they were trying to be as inclusive as possible.
For sure, they definitely weren't
Yeah.
being negative about it. Like it was, there was like a just like a very childish raw excitement to it, like
Uh,
they were just really excited to meet someone new, someone different. It's a really small town, new students are rare. So one, they got a new kid, they want to get to know him. And two, it's a new kid that's like different than the ones they're used to getting. So it's like
mhm.
twice as exciting for them.
And
So
then
yeah, it was very welcoming.
did you move into like a big town or a small town? Did everyone
Not
know
at
each other?
all. So you said you're familiar with Oregon, right?
Mhm.
So further down south in the Rogue Valley, there's a city called Medford, Oregon, kind of the center of its own little region down there. I thought that was a small town when I lived there. That was
Mhm.
like small. There was nothing to do. Everybody just wanted to get up and leave as soon as they could. And then I moved here, and where I live now, compared to Medford, it's a village. It is puny.
Mm.
So technically,
Wow.
I came from the city and came to rural North Dakota here.
Mhm. Oh, that's yeah. I mean, how have things changed now that you're 7 years in North Dakota?
Well, the major difference is that I actually like it here. Absolutely love it. I wouldn't give it up for anything. If there's a place that I'm gonna stay for the rest of my life, it is not only this state, but probably even this town.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned that it was supper time for you. So is that part of why you love North Dakota so much? Did you have, is it for the family you have or just the visuals there? What is it for you?
Well, the family I have here is just the same family I moved up with. I have a lot of relatives more down south, but it was definitely the atmosphere. In most places, especially the town I'm in, it's like the world is stuck in time. Not a lot
Mm.
changed since like its last heyday. So this town in particular, and the store that I work at here, it's like still stuck in the 80s. We still have like
Hmm.
old like manual registers. They just have like the main like buttons, like you type in all the prices of everything you're putting in and add it all together, and then type in how much money you're putting in. Like everything is really old school. I still get people come in and make comments like, this is like the type of store my grandma used to take me to and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
One thing, I don't know if this would make sense to you or anybody else listening, but we still use counter checks for our local bank. And so many people that come in are amazed by that fact. One guy came in, wanted to take a counter check as a souvenir because he hadn't seen one in years.
Aw,
And that's something
that's
that's
so
like,
wholesome.
yeah, it's like slightly unique to certain areas in North Dakota. Some places we have our major cities, there's Fargo, North Dakota. They're about the same as going to the first time I drove into that city, I actually felt like I was in California, driving through Los
Mm.
Angeles or something. It just had the same sort
Yeah,
of
yeah.
vibe. And there's still like Bismarck and Dickinson, but those don't even compare.
Hmm.
So yeah, a lot of people that come from those areas, they're more, I guess, adjusted. They're following the usual trends. They are talking like everybody else does. But when you go to the rural parts, you go to the smaller communities, it's like its own little world.
Yeah, right on. So just to close, one thing I wanted to talk about with you is this quote in which I found somewhere. It might be yours, or I don't really know what's going on with this, but you wrote down, the key to sustaining happiness and enjoyment in one's life is neither money, nor world travel, nor meaningful companionship. It is simply saying the word rutabaga as frequently as possible. What is that about?
Rutabaga, it's
Rutabaga.
it's a vegetable,
Oh.
edible vegetable. I might be getting that wrong. Someone might correct me on that too. It could be a root. But funny enough, I got that from a KFC commercial. It's a Colonel Sanders
Interesting.
quote, but not exactly. Yeah, it
Interesting.
was on
Why this?
this weird YouTube collaboration thing they have. KFC's weird. If you delve into the KFC YouTube channel, you would forget they're a chicken company. They have everything like
Mm,
ASMRs, like weird like Indiegogo campaigns and stuff like that, like things you wouldn't expect. And that was
I
one of them.
remember seeing this like Father's Day gift, or like this like I think it's this Mother's Day
Where
ad,
they're
and it's
dancing
just
on a
like,
stage.
yeah, they're dancing, they're like shirtless, as like totally
Yeah,
like stripper
yeah.
vibes, like male stripper. And I was like,
They
what
have a
the
lot
hell
of
is this?
and they
Yeah.
did one collaboration with this kind of a YouTube surreal comedy channel called gee, I wish I could remember, but it was the concept was the Colonel Sanders is a cat scratcher, and he's surrounded by kittens. And at one point, he starts going off on this mantra about how he feels himself becoming a cat, and then it just breaks into like a sudden quote where everything I wrote on there he says out, and I just really that really stuck on with me, and I was like, this is my way of life. I just think it's funny, really.
Your way of
Just
life.
saying rutabaga, and that's what makes you happy.
Rutabaga. I mean, you said it's a vegetable. I have no idea what that is, so I'm definitely gonna look that up.
Maybe find some recipes to try.
Perhaps that may be the case. But just to close, it was really nice speaking with you, Nata. Is there any last minute thoughts you want to say or anything you want to shout out?
Times like this, I wish I was actually as clever as that quote. That's it.
I hear you. Well, thank you so much for your time, Nata.
Good to be with you. Yep. Good to be a part of this great project you got going.
Thank you. I'll definitely keep you posted and keep on enjoying the word rutabaga.
Rutabaga.
Ru-
Yep. Thank you.
Rutabaga. Oh my god. All
Have a
right.
great
Thank you
day.
so much, Nata. You too.
It all set up anyway, so it's all good.
Perfect. I mean, let's just hop right into it. For those who do not know you, what's your name and where are you calling from?
Oh, I'm Becky Mitz, and I'm calling from Honolulu, Hawaii.
Nice. And I know you're in a relationship because I saw that, but if let's say you weren't in a relationship and you're on a first date, what would you say to really just introduce yourself and to really explain who you are?
Oh, wow. Uh, you know, my name is Becky. I have conversations for a living, and that is the best way I can put it. I have conversations for a living. I really enjoy eating and making people laugh.
Yeah, right on. I mean, let's kind of get into that conversations for a living. I mean, explain. I know what you mean, but explain a little bit more
Yeah.
for those who don't know.
So I am a radio host. I'm what they call an on-air personality. That's my real job title for 93.9 The Beat Honolulu. I'm actually on a morning show. It's called the Sam and Ryan Show, Monday through Friday. I'm the female between Sam and Ryan, who the show is named after. And I was actually hired in February 2019. So it's been about a year and a half since I've been on the show. And I'm here because uh, for lack of better words, they are seasoned.
Mm,
they're seasoned and they're both men, and we live in a different world now, and the things that they find funny and the things that they think is appropriate sometimes may not be appropriate, so I'm kind of there to kind of channel it appropriate for females, and I'm there to make sure that I keep them in check and things like that.
Yeah, just kind of to go back a little bit, and I know that
Hmm.
you were a communications major. Is this something that you always knew you wanted to do, or is this kind of the scene that you wanted to be in?
You know, I didn't know that radio was something that I could ever pursue, nor did I ever see it as a vision. To be honest with you, I wanted to be in broadcast journalism. And then I realized very quickly what I looked like, and I realized that broadcast journalism was not for me. But that was something that I wanted to be ever since I was little. And I mean, like, young, 8 or 9 years old. I knew I wanted to be in some form of entertainment. I just didn't know how I was going to do it or where I was going to do it as. And the way that I got into radio was, a bit unconventional for the typical radio host, shall I say.
Yeah, and how was your journey different than the ordinary radio hosts?
So prior to being an iHeart employee, I was working. So I got out of college from Portland State in 2017, around June 2017. After I got out of college, I went home. My sister got married. We were, I was just at home, out of college type of thing. And then I went to actually Disneyland in August to do the Disney College program, which you can do up to a year after you graduate. So I was at Disneyland from August 2017 till January 2018. And then when I came home, I was kind of, I was really upset. I'd just gone through a breakup at the time, like a 2-year relationship. And that was like my first, like real relationship. So I was
Yeah,
still
yeah,
kind of like reeling from that. I'd come home where he was. So I was sad about that because, I was always worried about running into him. Another
sure.
thing was that I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. Basically, I had my college degree, but I didn't know what I wanted to do. Did I want to go into public relations? Did I want to do, something in entertainment? I had no idea. I was like, should I apply for the news stations and be an intern? I had no idea. So all I know is I wanted to get out of my parents' house and I wanted to move out and be on my own. And one of the things I knew that helped me emotionally was working a lot. So I'd gotten a job at Press Juicery, which I'm not sure if you have a Press Juicery where you are. I got my first job at Press Juicery. I believe I started February 2018. I started that job.
Hmm.
March 2018, I started Bloomingdale's, and March 2018, I started Starbucks. I was working all three of them at one time, um, which was overwhelming, but it really did help me kind of push through the emotional aspect of, that typical college kid or fresh out of college kid of what am I going to do?
Yeah.
What am I meant to do? So I just made money, moved out of the house, and I was getting very overwhelmed. And a friend of mine told me, although I'm proud of you for being able to manage all of this was around, I would say, August of 2018. She's like, even though I'm really proud of you for what you've been doing, why don't you find a job that's suited for your degree? Like, you're not going to be doing all three of these forever.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. And I saw there was an opening for iHeartMedia Honolulu as a sales assistant. And I was like, okay, I'm not sales and I hate anything that has to do with sales, but you know what? It's iHeartMedia. And who's to
Yeah.
say that, I can't get some kind of media job? I got hired. I'm sorry, I had an interview on a Wednesday. I had an interview on Monday. I got hired by Wednesday and I was in the office by Friday. That's how quickly the process went for me. They just they interviewed me, they wanted me, and they hired me right away, which is very quick for
Yeah. Sounds like they just
a
threw you
corporate
right into
job.
it. Yeah.
They did, yeah. Because the girl that I was replacing was leaving that Friday, so they
Mm.
needed her to at least give me a little bit of knowledge of what the position was, and I only had pretty much a day of training from her. So, and then while I was a sales assistant, so I got hired October 2018, and then February 2019 I was on air. That's
Wow.
kind of
So
a
you
long way of
haven't.
saying it.
So in terms of like this type of field, is this a long time to be in it? Is like a year kind of a long time, or is it a short period?
Um, it's short. I'm still considered a rookie.
Mm.
Uh, And I also had no formal training because some of these people they actually went to school for radio, and a lot of the people that reach out to me, whether it be on Instagram, on TikTok, are like, oh, I'm in school for radio, and I sort of feel, to be quite transparent with you, guilty for not having any schooling and then getting the position. People want to be in my position, and then when I do explain how I got the job, very same way I explained it to you, they almost seem disappointed that I didn't go the route that they are going. And they mostly ask for advice, and my biggest piece of advice, which I think is all I can offer, is get your foot in the door wherever you want to be, whether or not it's like a low level position. If you get like the bottom level position at that particular company, get
Yeah.
your foot in the door and then work your way up. That's my biggest piece of advice.
Yeah, and to really just take the first steps and not hesitate to
Yes.
put your first foot in the door. Yeah. Right on. I mean, what's
Mhm.
your
Mhm.
day-to-day look like?
My day to day. Okay, so I'm on Monday through Friday. I'm also on Saturday mornings as well. That's when I'm by myself. But Monday through Friday is the Sam and Ryan show. So I wake up at around 4:50. Show starts at 6.
Wow.
I live about 10 minutes away from here, so I get up at 4:50. It takes me a little bit to get out of bed. Sometimes I shoot right out of bed, sometimes I don't. Um, First thing I do is, the typical routine of brushing my teeth, washing my face,
Yeah,
brushing my
yeah.
hair, depends on the day, putting on an outfit, making myself coffee, which is just iced coffee, and then heading out the door. And then once I get here, I prepare for the show. So I have a segment called Hollywood BS. So I prepare 3 Hollywood stories, and I do it 3 times a show, and I try to change the stories out. So it's up to 9 stories that I need to find. Sometimes I'll reuse it. So maybe like the most I can have is 6,
Mhm.
or the least I can have is 6. Sorry, the most I can have is 9. And I change it up for every. So I do it at 6:15, 7:15, and at 10:15. Do I do it at 8:15 too? Actually, I do it 4 times a show, now that I think about it. Yeah, 8:15 as well. It used to be 6:15, 8:15, and now it's 6:15, 7:15, 8:15. Um, and I prepare for that. So I get all the articles lined up, things like that. I'm reading the articles, watching the videos, whatever it is. I also do some other show prep as well. We do a question of the day, and we alternate questions of the day. So today was my particular day, and the question was, what's something you said you'd never do but ended up doing anyway? And that was
Mm.
today's question. And then I also do some other show prep that is quite secretive, but
Uh-huh.
there's a lot of behind the scenes that I do right before the show starts. But I'll get here around 5:40, and that's more than enough time for me.
Yeah, and do you like mentally rehearse what you're gonna say before you like go off air for a second or when the music is being cued?
Sometimes for Hollywood BS, sometimes, especially the show. So right before we do the Hollywood BS, we end the break with me teasing whatever's upcoming in the BS. So like today, the Hollywood BS was, they're doing a Fresh Prince of Bel-Air revamp, but they're doing like a dramatic version of it. So I'm like, one of your favorite shows is getting a revamp, but it's not what you think it is. It's coming up next. Sometimes I'll plan that out, but for the most part, everything is off the top of my head, which is unfortunate at times.
Mm. So like, do you ever say anything that you regret?
In the beginning, I used to be a lot worse, and that's
Mm.
because I was a rookie. I didn't really
Yeah.
know. And the biggest thing that you can't really do in this industry is you can't clown on clients. And I'll give you an example. So I'd gotten food poisoning, and
Mm.
that's something that we share our lives all the time. That's what people want to hear. That's what we do. That's, we take our lives and we turn it into entertainment. And I'd gotten food poisoning that particular weekend,
Yeah.
and I was talking about the food poisoning, and somebody called in and was like, "You're being irresponsible if you don't tell us where you got the food poisoning. You need to tell us where you got it." And I was like, I don't want to clown them, because it could have just been like one particular thing went into my particular plate, because
Yeah.
I'd eaten with my family and nobody else got sick, only I did.
Mhm.
But I made the mistake of sharing where it was, and that after I think during the show I got an email that said, so and so is pissed that you mentioned that you got food poisoning from here. They're a big client. They spend thousands of dollars.
Mm.
Um, and so that's a really big no-no. But I struggle with that on a day-to-day basis, because I do think that there's a responsibility to tell people certain things. And then, but yet at the same time, the reason that we have clients. That's how we get paid. So I have to be respectful of that as well.
Yeah, and you have to be careful for what you say, but also make it entertaining. Right on.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, thank you so much for taking the time and chat with me. Just to close, do you have any last minute thoughts and anything you want to shout out?
No, not really. I think that you have the whole setup of this whole thing was very professional, and I've listened to your podcast, and I think it's very well done. I'm excited to see how your podcast goes in the future. I'm very honored that you asked me. This is the first time I've ever been asked to be on a podcast or even been asked questions, any kind of interview process. So, I'm very appreciative of that and very honored.
Yeah, I appreciate you kind of just praising me because this is like something brand new and I thought of fairly recently.
Yeah.
And I was just brainstorming a whole bunch of people I wanted to talk to and just hear more about and spread the word of what a topic is about. And I thought, radio host, and I found you on TikTok. I'm like, oh, this is perfect. I have my person right here. So thank you so much, Becky.
No, thank you, Spencer. Appreciate it.
Do you have anything you want to shout out?
Anything I want to shout out? I mean, it depends. So if anybody on TikTok happens to watch this or listen to this, shall I say, thank you for being a follower. You know, I don't like to call any followers fans. It makes me very uncomfortable, and I'm very afraid of becoming an a-hole. So everybody's like, this is true story. You know, it's like weird because some people say like you're being an a-hole for being too careful about it because you're trying to be like it's like fake humble. They're like, oh, you're being fake humble, and it's not the case. It's genuinely, I'm not trying to be anything but not an a-hole. And I feel like when they're like, oh, thank you to my fans, I don't feel comfortable with that. Maybe I'm just too Japanese for it, but I just like to call them friends. So thank you to all of my friends that listen to this, and you know, I hope you get to know more about me. I hope, you know, because this particular persona is not what people see on TikTok. They think that I'm like some super sad gal that just makes up all these things, but it's solely for entertainment purposes. And it's astonishing to me how many people I've convinced that I'm not okay when it's actually quite the opposite. I live a very fulfilled life. Yeah. I sort of feel guilty about it, but I'm also impressed how many people I've fooled.
I hear. I mean, kind of ending on a little rough note, but thank you so much again, Becky, for your time.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I can't wait to see what you do with this episode. I'm excited.
Yeah, and it's a little early for you, so enjoy the rest of the day for you.
Yeah, thank you. You too, Spencer. Appreciate it.
All right, I'll keep you posted.
All right, perfect. Thank you.
Yep. Oh man, okay. I love putting music into the podcast. It's just a really great way to express yourself, and I'm just in love with this beat. This beat goes hard. It's the flute that really just, love it. Anyway, Silly Goose Becky forgot to do a shout out because I knew she wanted to do a shout out, but yeah, we kind of just like talked over that. So here I am, here to shout out Becky. If you want to hear more about Becky, you can find her at Becky Mitts. BECKYMITS. You can find her on Instagram and other stuff. Go check her out. So, now we're going to hear from the magician himself, Davis. I mean, you said it's like pouring for you. For those who don't know you, what's your name and where are you calling from?
I am Davis, and I'm calling from Virginia on the East Coast.
Right on. And I don't know your relationship status, Davis, but let's say you're on a first date. What are you saying to this person, to your date, for them to really get an idea of who you are?
Well, okay. I'm just, probably the reason I'm on here, I'm a magician. I've been doing that for 10 plus years. Especially nowadays with being on kind of a lockdown. I like movies, TV. I like watching a bunch of different stuff, and that's pretty much all the
I mean,
all the exciting things about me.
When did this first fascination of magic come so real for you?
honestly, I keep thinking about it. The story changes every time, but it's kind of just,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. It's a lot of just when I was younger, I think everyone has that fascination. They just really like performing it. And then I kind of realized I enjoy it. I enjoy performing. I enjoy practicing, and I kind of just stuck with it. And that's really why I just keep doing it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's just that kind of childish innocence and just naiveness of really just being so fascinated by whatever it may be performed, whether it's music or magic or even just like a science experiment. How did magic become a thing? And I know you're saying like everyone loves to perform, but for you as magic, how did you get into that? How did you start performing?
I think if I go back, I think my cousin may have showed me something, and that kind of piqued my interest. And then it was a lot of going on YouTube, and my older brother did that as well. And he fell out of it, but I just went on YouTube and I realized that whenever I'd perform, I just have a lot of fun performing. And the feeling of performing for people just really couldn't be replaced by anything else. So I just decided to keep doing it and see how far it could take me. And here I am.
Yeah, yeah. So I also saw on your Instagram, just kind of more of your recent post, the one about 5 days ago. It looks like you're in like a college auditorium or something, and it's like
High
there's
school
fire. Oh, a
auditorium.
high
Yeah.
school auditorium. There you have like this fire thing going on. What was that about?
Yeah. Well, I was in show choir for my high school career, and that really helped me kind of become a performer and really love theater and really just kind of set the groundwork for me to be a better performer. And our show, it was awesome. Our show revolved around magic,
Yeah.
and I kind of convinced them to do it. And I had that fire gag as part of the show. And I was just chilling, and I saw a bunch of people, and I knew all those people, by the way, all those people on the
Hmm.
side. And I just had the fire thing with me, and I just turned to one of my friends and I just said, film this, I think this could be funny.
And what was the reaction, you guys? Was it the reaction you're expecting, or were people surprised? They kind of knew what
I
was going
think
on.
no one really knew because the auditorium was packed and there was music playing, so I don't think no one was looking at the camera and saw him.
Yeah.
And like I described in the video, the first one was a dud, so that threw me off because sometimes it just doesn't light right.
Hmm.
But then it did, and it just got a funny reaction. You didn't see when I cut away from it. I walked back and I knew some of the guys, and they were just high fiving me because they thought it was funny too. But it was really, again, I just didn't think it would blow up like it did. I'd been posting a lot of magic, and then I forgot I had that video. That video was almost a year old now.
Wow.
And I decided to do something, and yeah.
So how has your act changed since then, since a year ago?
What do you mean? Like just what I do? Or
Yeah.
yeah. I've kind of, it's just constantly a learning curve. Just honest, there have been tricks that I learned
Yeah, for
in
sure.
seventh grade that I'm still working on, and that's kind of another thing about magic. It's almost like a instrument or a sport. I just kept working on it, trying to pick up new props and just try to perform as many people as possible. It's a lot more difficult now, but
Yeah. I mean, just like anything else, it's a practice, right?
exactly. Yeah. If people, sometimes I show people how to do something when they ask me, hey, how do you do that trick? And they're my friend, and I show them, and they don't realize how much really goes into it.
Yeah.
So it's, if any magicians are listening, if you really want to get good at it, you just have to work at it honestly, it takes years to get some stuff down.
Yeah, yeah. So there's this phrase that everyone kind of grows up hearing when you see like magician, where the magician or the performer will say, a magician never tells their secret. So do you think that's accurate? Do you think that the answer or how you did a trick should be revealed, or do you think it should be hidden? How do you feel about that?
I see both sides to it. Obviously, if you look at Penn and Teller or anything, they almost make an act about revealing tricks that they do. And I'm very casual about it. Sometimes I don't like revealing it. Sometimes if my good friends really want to know,
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, you know what, I'll tell them, but sometimes I don't when I really want to get at them. Sometimes I'll tell my family. So it's all, sometimes showing people how the method works, it's along the lines of almost, that's kind of almost showing off, or that's also as cool as the trick itself.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't want to really reveal a lot of other people's material,
Mm.
because like I posted in one of my videos, the only things that I taught were just fun things, more beginner things that I had learned online a long time ago. But like I posted about, people don't realize that a lot of magicians take originality in their creations very, very seriously, because they sell them, and a lot of magicians make a living creating
Yeah.
effects and selling them to other magicians. And if you go on YouTube sometimes and you find these DVDs, and just pirating is a big problem in the community. People don't realize that.
Yeah. So I'm not entirely sure like what type of performance you do or how big your performances are, but just kind of tell me and the audience just something that you just remember and it's just like a highlight of your magician career or your mentalist career. Like what really stood out to you?
Just a performing story. Wow.
Yeah.
It's so far, it's, sadly, and also a good thing, I feel I haven't really hit a high point yet.
Mm.
I feel there could be more. I hope there's more in it for me. Just, I think one that sticks out is freshman year of high school, doing a performance on stage and just getting a really good reaction, and that kind of solidified me as a performer in high school. So people would ask me to show them stuff,
Yeah, for sure.
and it's really just about getting the best possible reaction I can. And I also performed for a talent show in college and got second place, which was nice, and I got some great reactions. But nothing really sticks out as the best so far. I think there are high points that are different in every show, and that's what I love
Mm.
about performing.
Yeah, I totally understand. Like every scene could be different or anything could go not the way you wanted to, but it's always a new experience no matter how you see it or how many times you've practiced or done it.
Yeah, luckily I haven't had anything go terribly
Yeah.
wrong. I make sure there are some tricks that can possibly go wrong that I don't really like performing. So I make sure I'm in control 100%.
Yeah. And is that because of just the risk or is just not that appealing to you? Why don't you want to
It's the
try those?
risk. There are some tricks that are incredible that require, I won't say much, but require some electronics. And sometimes it's happened to me, and luckily not very important situations, but sometimes people know who ever had a phone or any kind of technology, sometimes it just doesn't work the way you want it to.
Yeah.
And all it takes is that one time to really mess it up. So even though there are a lot of great tricks out there that require some technology, I really don't like risking it too much. But
Yeah.
that's just me, of course.
Just to close, where do you see yourself in the next 10 years from now?
Wow. I hope, even if I don't have it as a full career,
Mm-hmm.
I would love to just keep doing it and performing. Also, if TikTok doesn't get banned, I didn't really expect to perform more. I hope that that can help me in some way if it keeps going and keep posting more tricks. Hopefully, I can
Sure.
grow from that.
Yeah.
That's why I made it in the first place. And I just hope that no matter if I'm getting paid to do it or not, I just hope I keep doing it in the next 10 years and forever.
Yeah. Seems like you just want the new opportunities to come from the skill you've developed throughout the years.
Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, do you have any last minute thoughts or anything you want to shout out, Davis?
Um, Anyone who's listening, just shout out to any of my fans out there that are on TikTok. It's really, I posted that video at 11 p.m. and I woke up and my phone was just blowing up, and it was just such a great opportunity. And I'm really I'm getting some friends together, and we're posting some other stuff hopefully soon. So hopefully stay tuned for that.
Yeah, that's so exciting.
And yeah, that's pretty much it for me.
Right on. Well, thank you so much for your time, Davis.
Awesome. Thank you, man.
Yeah, I'll keep you posted on what is to come.
Definitely. Thank you.
All right. If you want to hear more from Davis, go follow him on Instagram at Davis, Davis, West, West, Magic. And hopefully I don't have to spell magic because you're pretty literate. Okay, that might become a little, that came off the way I didn't want it to, but go check him out. For the tracks I use, or rather the artists I got tracks from YouTube library, thank you Lukrembo, Quincylofi, XelaOnDaBeat, and Matthew May. The special guests, Nata, Becky, Davis. Thank you for listening. Thank you for sticking with me. Thank you for making it an amazing episode 10. Once again, if you want to schedule a interview, message me on Instagram, _Spence_R_. Also type in Milking Ardor on pretty much other platforms to hear more about Milking Ardor. And once again, this is mostly word of mouth advertisement. Well, we're doing pretty well for ourselves, but I also want to spread the word and share as many stories with as many people as possible. Please subscribe or follow whatever you're listening on. Make sure you're getting notifications for when episodes are being dropped out. It's been an amazing journey with you guys, and I don't plan on stopping anytime soon. Please take care, wear your mask, and just lay back and enjoy everything. There's a lot of shitty things going on, but we're in this together. Until then, I will see you later.